In this management development session, I will discuss motivation from a mathematical point of view. I hear you say, John, I hate maths. Don't worry, it's not nearly as complicated as your grade 1 maths. Today, I will share the golden motivation equation with you. And as complex as it sounds, it is actually very simple and very straightforward. In 25 years of educating and developing leaders, I have used this mathematical equation over and over, and I have seen it prove itself over and over again. It's been tried and tested. I know you will be able to use it in any situation where there is a give and take scenario. That could be negotiations, that could be personal relationships, that could be an employee-employee kind of setup. What kind of relationship does maths have with motivation? Well, being passionate about numbers, I believe maths is related to everything in one way or another. But here we're going to use this mathematical equation, the golden motivation equation, to explain the best possible methods of assessing what motivational strategy is required. There's the different strokes for different folks around motivation, and I hope you understand that. Motivation is the external aspect of having people perform at their best. And we are going to look at those external elements that are required in order to get someone to perform well. So in terms of an equation basically means one side of the equal sign equals to the other side of the equal sign. There is a balance. Both sides balance with each other. Equation x equals y. And in x equals y, our golden motivation equation has some x elements and has some y elements. So before we go much further, what I would like to do is introduce you to those x elements and those y elements. So when we take the golden motivation equation, we have two sides. We have an employee elements. The employee elements include the effort and the reward. And on the management side, or the employer side, we have elements pressure and payoff. So on the one side of the equation, we have the employee elements. The employee elements is the reward and the effort. Let's start with effort. What are we talking about effort? We're talking about what does it cost the employee in order to do their job? What cost implications are there for them? You're probably thinking, but there aren't any. There is in terms of mental capacity. There is in terms of personal challenge. What is the cost in terms of physical exertion? And very importantly, what is the cost in terms of how much time does it take? 9 to 5, great. Do I have to take work home? Are there weekend implications? That kind of effort, the greater the effort, the better the reward needs to be in order to counterbalance that, counteract that. Let's talk about reward. When we say reward, are we talking about their salaries? Absolutely. Money taken home? Of course. Incentives? Oh yes. How much time they can spend on their own endeavors? It comes into the equation. But the amount of effort that is spent, the greater the effort, the greater the reward is going to have to be for that employee. The employee wants a payoff for the effort exerted in doing their job, doing the tasks that are required from them. On the other side of the equation is the employer's elements. On the employer's elements is pressure and payoff. Pressure comes to the point of, and a lot of managers don't like this, you need to exert a certain amount of pressure on the employees in order to perform. You can call that pressure controls, you can call that pressure deadlines, you can call that pressure inspections. But as a manager, you are going to have to take time to exert a certain amount of pressure on the employee in order for them to perform do what is required. Do what is required for you as the manager in order to get the payoff that you are hoping for. Payoff as the manager is going to be you achieving your goals, you getting the outcomes that you have set. Possibly even as a manager or business owner, you are looking at the bottom line, how much money is made. So there is a balance here in terms, as the manager, how much pressure do you put on in order to get the payoff, get the results, or get the reward that you seek from your employees. Awesome. Now, through that, I'm sure you may have picked up that reward for the employee and payoff for the employer actually sound very similar. And at the end of the day, you could swap reward and payoff around. There is a certain amount of reward in terms of goal achievement, money in the pocket for the employee, and there is a certain amount of goal achievement and money in the pocket for the employer or the manager. So if we're saying that reward and payoff is the same, we've now made it the same in the equation. What happens in a mathematical equation is if there are elements that are equal, equal on the left to the right, whatever's on the left is equal to on the right, you can cancel them out. It's a way of simplifying the equation. Yes? Right. Let's do that. Right-hand side equals the reward on the right-hand side. Then we can remove them. So then the equation looks like this. On the left-hand side, effort. So now what we've done is we've rewritten the equation. On the left-hand side for the employee, we only have effort. And on the right-hand side, we have pressure. We've removed reward because it was reward on the left and reward on the right. The reward for the employee looked very similar to the reward for the manager. So we are dealing with an equation where we want the left-hand side to be balanced to the right-hand side, to equal the right-hand side. And now we are left with effort and we are left with pressure. And as a manager, you are going to exert amount of pressure on the employee and they are going to respond with a certain amount of effort. And this relationship is not a set formula. It's not a one size fits all. It's going to vary from employee to employee. If one employee requires this much pressure in order to produce this much effort, fantastic. But you might have one employee requiring this much pressure in order to produce this much output or this much effort. And if you as the manager are happy with that, then your equation, your equilibrium is then in balance. Be careful for the unbalanced equation, where if you have this much pressure and your employees respond with this much effort, they might realize that, you know, together with their reward, that they are worth more than what they are getting out of the environment and leave due to boredom, underpayment, under reward. Converse is also true. If you put this much pressure on and the effort is only this much on a consistent basis, and every time they increase their effort, you increase your pressure, the work environment is not going to be a pleasure to be involved in, and they are going to leave. So what you want is the effort that they are producing must be a win for the manager. And the pressure applied by the manager must be a win for the employee. That means we can write the equation like this. Let's start with the equal sign. The left's got to equal the right. We want a win for the employee and a win for the manager. So a win for the manager and a win for the employee makes our equation win equals win. Our golden equation of effort plus reward equals pressure plus reward can be reduced to the simple statement: the situation, motivation must be a win for the employee and a win for the manager. It must be a win-win situation.